Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wrestleview Post-Raw number 153. I am Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com.
And I'm Victoria Tedesco.
At long last, my marathon run of recapping is at an end. I just got to get through this program here, which I am very excited to do.
Yes.
It's the Raw after WrestleMania, and what the hell?
Why not?
It's a lot of fun to still do. And then I plan on not watching any wrestling for the rest of the week. I'm not even going to watch SmackDown on Friday, but I will watch the highlights. I need a break.
We'll follow Roy's show.
I'm ready to be
we'll follow Roy's show.
I'm going to watch Roy's post show because there's going to be some big news, I'm sure, coming out of SmackDown.
For sure.
With Roman Reigns leaving that big cliffhanger there.
Man,
it's
been a long week. I definitely felt it today. I definitely was exhausted, but it was a good exhausted. It was a good feeling to know that you're coming off of this big weekend, and I was looking forward to watching tonight also. So
me too. And we had a lot of podcasts this week. We had a prediction show on Thursday. Roy did a podcast on Friday. We had full coverage of WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday. Now we got this one. I've been talking and typing about wrestling since Friday. 2 shows on Saturday with NXT and WrestleMania Saturday. Yesterday, WrestleMania Sunday, and today post-Raw, WWE Raw. Oh, man. I am exhausted, but I'm ready to go. Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. No, I'm not doing NXT tomorrow. I can't. No way. I'm not even going to be home for tomorrow night. So
no, he won't be.
All right. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat room real quick. Because these are our people.
These are our friends.
They've been, as much as we've been in it all weekend, so have they. They've been showing up and being with us the entire time. We've had great turnout for all of our shows. So, I just can't thank them all enough for showing up and being here. So
they are
Daniel,
stupendous.
I am acknowledging you, Daniel. All right. Graham Costigan Gribbs. Hey, Tedesco family. Hi, Graham. Randy Torcola says we need to know what's happening with Grayson Waller. He got messed up in that ladder match. Man, that was a really tough bump. That was a really, really tough bump. I already acknowledged Daniel Shell. We got Quentin Walters here, who is reminding you to please like, subscribe to the channel, and share this non-stupendous podcast. Thanks. Yes, this is non-stupendous because we're past WrestleMania, but it is we have to come up with another adjective for ourselves here.
I think so.
I think we do. Goosey's here. he goes, yeah, Mike, gonna need you to do NXT tomorrow, AEW Wednesday, and Impact on Thursday as well. You couldn't pay me enough to recap Impact Wrestling. There's no.
Well, I'm sure that's not entirely true, but for this week, no. You couldn't pay your enough.
Daniel says I'm gonna have to cover AEW Rampage. I don't know about that. Uncle Billy's here. Machine Walls, hello, Tedesco and peeps. Brett Farmer, watch SmackDown and Ring of Honor simultaneously. Hall of Fame, Mania 1, Mania 2, and Raw. Whew, that's a lot of wrestling. It's sure is.
Good for you.
Damn sure is. And we've had coverage of wrestling all week with the AAA show on Thursday. Jerome covered Ring of Honor on Friday. I covered Hall of Fame. We've been just doing so much.
That's why you guys are the best, though, because you really are in it. You're in it.
Yeah.
You're committed.
These people,
you're committed.
With us the whole way.
It's V.
Randy Torcola is here. V is here. How about the most magnificent podcast on YouTube ever. I like that.
I love it, V.
Zach Faulkner.
Hey.
Is here. Hello, Zach.
My bestie.
Nafis Sadat. You guys need a vacation.
See, this is why I love Nafis. He gets
Grash is here. Can I be like the crowd tonight and self-own myself? There was a lot of that going on. Oh boy. The Wrestleview Fiend is here. Andrew Elder.
Did you see his
Facebook? Nanny Brock.
Did you see it? Yeah. Star Call. That was really funny.
Brock Lesnar coming to our house.
He'll be starting tomorrow. We haven't really decided a salary yet, but if anybody has any suggestions, we're willing to listen.
Absolutely. Also, we got here. We said hello to Quentin Walters. I think I saw somebody else in there I might have missed, but we'll get to them eventually. All right. Would you rather watch Impact Wrestling or Corey and Carmella on an endless loop?
Oh, Impact.
Impact. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Impact.
You beat me.
We got you, Goose.
You
got it.
You beat me.
Mm-hmm.
You beat me there.
Same.
Mercifully, I have no problem saying that I get paid to recap Raw. So I am paid to watch the Carmella and Corey Graves thing. And even that, I feel like
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
And I should just give it back and just
Nope.
stop doing it. So
No.
bad. All right. Let's talk about this Raw after WrestleMania. It's been 3 years. 3 years since the Raw after WrestleMania had a crowd. The last time Raw had a crowd was my first day as editor-in-chief, and we had Adam Martin on this show saying goodbye.
Yeah.
That's actually
insane. That's really, really insane.
And sadly, the last time there was a Raw after WrestleMania 2, Raw was still like the premier show.
Yeah.
And it is not that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I mean, we had a very good show tonight. They set up a lot of storylines, and Raw looks like it's going to be very good in the coming months. But of course, they did the big cliffhanger for SmackDown. SmackDown gets all the big news and stuff like that. Roman Reigns is going to detail his next steps on SmackDown to keep you interested in watching. So, I mean, that's a smart move. This crowd was noticeably tired.
Yeah, they were exhausted. It was just, and I don't blame them, honestly. I really don't. I don't blame them. It was a very, very long weekend, but an exciting one. It wasn't just long in the sense of like when we went to WrestleMania in 2019 where we're just exhausted the next day. This was long because a lot of great stuff happened. So I think tonight, rightfully so, that they were feeling it. They were feeling it.
Yeah. I mean, 2 nights of WrestleMania and an NXT Stand and Deliver on Saturday, plus a million shows going on.
Whoever went to Hall of Fame and
who went to Hall of Fame, who went to Ring of Honor,
SmackDown,
who went to the Impact show, who went to the all the different through AAA, who went to, there was at least I think 12 shows running on like.
And did
Friday.
they have
WrestleCon?
I was gonna say, did they have Access this year? I didn't even know they did. Yeah, I wasn't sure if they did or not.
Yep. So by the time they got to Raw, it was definitely a subdued crowd. Daniel Schell's right. Like even when Cody Rhodes came out, they definitely gave Cody a nice hand, but Cody could not like you could tell like Cody was like, doing that thing where you pick the microphone up and then you put it down because people are cheering so much. Like he was putting it down and waiting for them to cheer, and they really weren't.
I think they were trying to. I think at certain points, like when Cody Rhodes was talking, they were trying to give him that moment, but then they just didn't have it in them tonight.
Right.
It almost seemed like they were there because they're like, all right, you know what? This is the last event. Right. Exactly. Like this is the last event that I have to just like kind of get through. And you always think to yourself, okay, this is the Raw after WrestleMania. Something's bound to happen that might be exciting and, whatever. So I think that, and they probably, and question, because I can't remember when the last time, I mean, it's been a while now, but is there some sort of like package too in conjunction with WrestleMania and Raw too, like with tickets, or no? Is that separate?
That was separate.
Was it separate?
At least I didn't see that they were advertising.
Okay.
But I mean, they did the 2-for-1 special, and they really pushed that for SmackDown.
Hall of Fame. Yeah.
No, there was nothing.
There was nothing with that. Okay, but people were very committed, though.
It was they showed up. Look, and it was a great crowd at times. They definitely came alive, but they just couldn't sustain. I think like 2 nights of Austin, coming out, the
Undertaker coming out again.
I mean, like all the legends definitely wore them out.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot. So let's talk about this Raw.
Yes,
because this Raw basically is going to set the stage for the next couple of months here.
Mm-hmm.
And we kick off with Cody Rhodes coming out, the American Nightmare, to his own theme song, and cuts an unscripted promo that was just beautiful, really beautiful. Emotional. Like I saw Goosey said, it kind of sucked that like this emotional promo happened before like this largely dead crowd. But sometimes you just it's the right show to do it on, but and you can't pick your crowds. It's just unfortunate they weren't there for it, but they were into it. They were respectful for it. there were cheers. They were trying to make some noise, but they were just exhausted. They
they put the effort in for sure.
So Cody Rhodes came out and cut this unscripted promo and just absolutely knocked it out of the ballpark. The guy solidified himself. You know, like I saw some people saying, "Oh, he's going to be a gatekeeper mid-card guy." No, Cody Rhodes in one promo. Obviously, he had the excellent match against Seth Rollins on WrestleMania Saturday, one of my favorite matches of the weekend. But he solidified himself as a main event guy who's going to have a main event story that's a classic professional wrestling story, chasing the gold. He wants to win the gold for a reason. You know, they just kind of did this with Cameron Grimes, and it paid off on Saturday with him winning the North American title, you know, on NXT 2.0, saying he wants to win it for his father. It's like almost like Cody's bringing up the same, you know, storyline here, but it's legit. It's legit. Everything that Cody Rhodes said was from the heart.
Yes.
He believed every word of it. So he said he had a picture of his father from Madison Square Garden in 1977 holding up the WWF title held at the time by superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah.
He talked about how that was on his mantelpiece, his father's mantelpiece until the day he died in his bedroom.
Yep.
And how he was 8 years old and said, "Oh, Dad, you won the title just like Hulk Hogan." And his father had to explain to him that, no, I won the match, but due to the champion's advantage, I won by count out. So I did not get the title, but I still took it and posed with it. And it was at that moment there that Cody Rhodes claims, and he was, you know, getting emotional, choked up through the whole thing, talking about, you know, how his father was his hero, that we knew him as, you know, the son of a plumber, and, you know, Wine and Diamond Kings and Queens, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, if you will. But to him, he was his father and his hero.
Yes.
And he said at that time, at 8 years old, he knew that he wanted to not only be a professional wrestler, but to win the title that his dad never did and put it into his hands. And unfortunately, that dream died. And while he can't physically put the title into his father's hands, he can put it around the waist of, while he can't put it into the American Dream's hands, he can put it around the waist of the American Nightmare. And man, oh man, it was just a solid promo. It was, I just can't wait to see it. You know, he's a main eventer. He's absolutely a main eventer. That's going to be an excellent story. I don't know if he goes after Roman Reigns, or if they wait for them to create a new title. I think I think they are going to create a new world title at some point and do a tournament. And I think, you know, Cody Rhodes should be in it and probably get screwed out of it and then chase the title for a little bit and maybe culminate at SummerSlam or something like that, or maybe next year's WrestleMania too. What'd you think of this?
Oh yeah, they built him up. He has main event status written all over this. From start to finish, you know, I took it as the crowd was definitely dead, but I also took it as the silence actually meant a lot to me. I think people were really interested and engaged and trying to think about what he was saying, and they were just really listening, because I found myself listening too. I just wanted to see the progression of how he was going to tell his story and tell what's been going on the last few years. And I really like how he definitely, not only has he evolved as a character in the company, you know, from when he was in AEW to now, but just as a person, you could tell there's like this maturity and this like air to him that he definitely did not have years ago. He's gotten so much smarter. I sound like a broken record, but he has gotten so much smarter. You can tell just in the ring, when he had his match with Seth Rollins, and now even with the promo. Like, there's just certain quality to him that it speaks main eventer. It speaks
he talked at that meeting
legacy. It speaks prestige. It speaks, you know, just different volumes.
He talked at that media scrum about, you know, his first go around of being a kid and, you know, not living up to the potential, you know, sometimes missing stuff because he was so nervous all the time. He was like nervous and scared of, you know, being critiqued and missing something, and just was too giving, and not fighting back on things that he thought were bad ideas,
Right.
namely Stardust.
Yeah.
And I love that line tonight about, he goes, I can't find it.
I know what you're talking about with it was specifically
the star that left them in, star that left them in the dust.
Yep.
The man standing here now, having signed a multi-year agreement with World Wrestling Entertainment. And he said if there was ever a glimmer of doubt or shred of trepidation when he rose up at WrestleMania and beat one of the best wrestlers in the world, that doubt was eradicated.
Yeah.
A man often finds his destiny on the path he takes to avoid it. He also kind of did mention that, 47 days ago, he became a free agent.
Yeah.
He didn't say AEW by name, but obviously that's exactly what he was talking about.
Of course. Yeah.
He also said exactly what he said at the media scrum too, that he heard that some of the stories are defamatory and not true. But he will remain silent about it. But it was not a difficult decision to come back to WWE. He was able, he grew so much in these 6 years that he was able to negotiate a multi-year agreement.
Yes.
He even talked about the media scrum that, I'm probably not going to be doing their scripted promos.
No.
They can give me one, but if I don't like, I'm not going to do it. And that's, you talk about a guy who learned from his father being that savvy with the business. He learned a lot. And for him to get Vince McMahon to agree to let him just go out there with a live mic and just a couple of bullet points, that's huge.
He's one of the only.
I like to see that become a trend, because I later in the night I watched Edge and Damian Priest do we're the bad guy promo, and Damian Priest, who's pretending to be a professional wrestler. He's a guy who's acting like a professional wrestler, but not like he's not in a moment.
Yes,
he's just a guy going through the motions of what he thinks a bad guy wrestler is supposed to be. Cutting these scripted promos, and the crowd not taking it seriously because they don't believe anything of it.
Yeah.
They don't believe any of it. They don't believe any
There's no
of it.
passion behind certain individuals. There's no, but this.
But that's the difference between the scripted promo and the unscripted promo. It's like, no one could have written that promo.
No.
And made you believe every single word of it, except the guy who lives that story.
He's living that
Cody
story.
Rhodes is very much living that story in a very real way.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't take a creative writing class and say, oh, well, I'm immensely more qualified to tell Cody Rhodes' story than Cody Rhodes himself.
No.
You could even have the best. I believed every word of what he said tonight.
Even the best.
It wasn't professional wrestling or sports entertainment.
No, it was just Cody Rhodes.
That was real.
Yeah.
That was Cody Rhodes giving you, a glimpse behind the curtain.
Yes.
A real motivation, not some stock story that, 30 guys came up with and it gets bastardized by the end of the thing, where you don't even know, like, how did this thing start and why did it go in this direction? Classic story. No, like again, look at the pop that Stone Cold Steve Austin got 2 nights in a row. Why do you love Stone Cold so much?
Stone Cold you love so much because he was real. He did everything, and he had control of everything, and everything that he did was on his own accord.
Authenticity.
It was authenticity to a T.
Authenticity. Which is, what John Cena was allowed to do. That was John Cena was living his authentic self. Everybody wanted him to turn heel, but that would literally be going against the man that John Cena is in his heart, at his core. He's a good dude. He wants to do good. He wants to do the Make-A-Wish stuff. He would never turn heel and betray all that, because that's not who he is. And those are the guys that stand the test of time. Randy Orton is just a dude having fun on a professional wrestling show.
Randy Orton can say whatever he wants.
Doing and saying whatever the hell he wants right now. The Rock, authentic. Hulk Hogan, even though he's a fucking liar most of the time, at least he's his authentic self and just lying to you all the time. Bret Hart was real. These are the guys that stand the test of time. Triple H, real. Cody Rhodes, real. Kevin Owens, real. Those are the guys that get the biggest pops. Damian Priest, I don't see how this is going to make him any bigger than he is right now.
No. What concerns me is that they're not seeing it. Like Vince in particular, he's only letting certain individuals do that. And I understand, like, if somebody's starting out and you kind of want to just like guide them a little bit, and you want to give them a little bit of direction, even like the bullet points, fine, what have you. But I'd rather, and I said this before, I'd rather see somebody like fall flat on their face
Yes.
with
Yes.
no
I was
script and
just going
whatever,
to say that.
I'd rather see them, because at least it's real. You can learn from it, you can evolve from it, you can get better.
I remember watching I was recapping a show for Josh maybe a year and a half ago for Dynamite, and I just can't I can't forget it. It was like it was a Nyla Rose cut a promo, and it wasn't good, but it was Nyla Rose trying to find her way on the microphone and trying to figure out that the promo, and it was authentic. It wasn't good, but I like that so much more. I'd rather watch 100 rough promos from Nyla Rose than any scripted promo any time of the week, because at least it was coming from the heart, coming from the person who is the character. It's okay to script some lines, or like, okay, this is the hook that I want you to build toward, but I don't care. You have to figure out how to get there. That's wrestling. Wrestling is built on the relationship between the performer and the audience. And if the performer doesn't believe what they're saying, it's the audience is not going to believe it. It's like I say to the at church when talking with cantors and singers, it's like, you have to be prepared to sing. If you're the leader of song and don't and aren't comfortable with the song, how can you lead other people in that? You have to feel it, you have to believe it. That's music. That's what makes music. Like, I don't play well if I don't feel it. And as a performer, for professional wrestling, which is another form of art, right? If the performer doesn't like, if they get that, like Ronda Rousey, how the hell can she believe anything of what she says that's scripted for her? And it comes off as inauthentic. And that's why, the crowd kind of turned on her in 2018.
Yeah, because she was giving those scripted promos that it's not, let's put it this way, a lot of the words that they were giving her were not within her vocabulary.
They're not in anybody's vocabulary. Nobody talks that way.
No.
I can go back to some of those Raws that I recapped where she was cutting those promos, and I'm like, who talks like that? What are you talking about? What are you saying?
But it also shows too that there's certain individuals that may never get to that level, authentic or not. They may never get to the level, and they may never cut a good promo.
But at least give them a fighting chance.
Just give them a chance. And also too, then again, not everyone's going to be able to speak on the mic and be able to give this heartfelt, like, feel good, whatever, but at least you gave them an opportunity. And you know what? Then you have to assess the character and be like, you know what? Maybe you're not going to do promos. Maybe we're going to do something else. Or if you are going to do a promo, we're just going to limit the amount of time that you cut one. Like, we give you 2 minutes as opposed to like 20 minutes to just whatever.
Right.
It makes sense to me. It makes sense to mostly everybody that unscripted is better than scripted, but they're still going to continue with it. There's still going to be individuals, case in point tonight, Cody Rhodes, allowed to do whatever he wants, and good. I'm glad he is. Damian Priest. No, they're going to give him scripted and continue with it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not going to benefit anybody. It won't benefit the performer, and it won't benefit the fans.
So this was a great promo. They sent Seth Rollins out there after, and he shook hands with Cody Rhodes and left and gave him respect. So they are treating Cody Rhodes very well right now. Very, very
and
well.
I hope they continue to. And I think they will.
I think
they too, because they know.
I have faith. I think they know that they need to start, building
they have
for a future. I mean, Cody Rhodes is not a spring chicken or anything like that. He's not like a 20-year-old kid, but he's still got many years ahead of him. Whereas, like right now there's like nothing on the horizon. So Cody being there is a huge get for them as well. So as much as this is vindication for Cody Rhodes, this is a real big get for WWE as well, who really needs some star power and some competent people in their main event scene. Okay, let's yeah, you know, and just before we move on from the scripted promo thing, Nafis says that this reminds me of the time-filling promos the wrestlers cut during last year's WrestleMania when there was rain. Yes, when WrestleMania Night 1 was in the rain delay last year, they had them all cut these unscripted promos just to fill the time, and those were some of the best promos to put over all of their feuds, you know, that happened in the WrestleMania season, because it was coming from them. And it's like, my God, like, these were so effective. How do you not let them continue on? But it's WWE, and everything
It's
has
micromanaged,
to be micromanaged and sterilized. So, you know, it's like Pat McAfee cut a good unscripted promo on SmackDown as well. They give him free reign as well.
Yeah.
And they should. The guy did a podcast and makes over $100 million.
Right. He clearly knows how to
doing
speak.
a podcast and being himself.
Exactly.
Let Pat be Pat.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they've done, and it's been a winning formula for them. This is going to be a winning formula for them too. If they let Cody continue on, I'm really looking forward to that. We had a championship contenders match. You know how much I love those.
Oh yes.
Naomi and Sasha Banks beat Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. I thought it was a pretty good match.
It wasn't bad. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
And they had Rhea Ripley walk off on Liv Morgan because Liv Morgan got pinned after, and she was not happy and walked off on her. I like later on the night, Liv Morgan found her and she goes, "Oh yeah, I was at Adam Pearce's office." Rhea Ripley says that she was at Adam Pearce's office, and she got them a tag title match next week on Raw, which is like, so what was the point of having the match in the first place?
Right.
Like a championship contenders match, they lost it, and then they still get a tag team title.
Still get an opportunity, anyway,
despite the fact they lost to the champions. So
go figure.
Well, anyway, I think obviously they're going to lose again next week, and I have a feeling that Edge is going to be building up a stable of, you know, the lost toys of WrestleMania, of WWE Raw. Obviously, Damian Priest is one of them. You know, they had big ideas for Damian Priest last year, and it didn't work because, again, there's something about his authenticity and that it doesn't exist.
No,
he's not authentic. I have a feeling Rhea Ripley is going to be in that. They're going to start building a stable of,
which would be cool,
kind of people. The land of the misfit toys,
I'm really rooting for her, honestly. I said it again last night, because when, you know, Adam was talking about how he didn't really know much about Rhea Ripley, because when he stopped watching, she was just kind of starting really to develop in NXT and everything. If there's anybody who I really want to have like a third chance to make this right, is her. And it genuinely, I can't say it for every women wrestler, unfortunately. I just feel like there's certain women that don't have it, which sucks because, you know, we're really lacking in the division. But I think Rhea Ripley does have something special about her. And I just want her to finally find her spot where, you know, she can get herself to the point where she can actually be in legitimate feuds on a consistent basis with, you know, the main event women. So I would love to see a different direction once again, and for it to stick and for it to work for her.
Yeah, a third chance to make a first impression.
Yeah,
but this is it. Third chance. If they can't make a go of this, I don't think there's any comeback for Rhea Ripley. She'll have to move to somewhere else.
It sucks.
In order to get over, if they can't make it work, and again, I have no confirmation that she's going to the Edge thing, but I have a feeling that's exactly
that, right. You just have a feeling that's where the
we got Jumpin' Jerome Weiland, the Wildcat here. He watched the Cody promo from tonight on YouTube, very real and heartfelt. He got a bit emotional. Yeah, I definitely felt the emotion too. You know, pouring out of Cody Rhodes. It was a really like a real beautiful moment. Moving on, Kevin Owens. This was a weird segment here. This was friggin' weird.
My jaw dropped.
It was just strange, this one. So Kevin Owens in the ring. He's getting major heat, you know, from Texas. He says, you know, I may have made a mistake in the main event of WrestleMania when, you know, having Stone Cold as a guest. You know, I go to him in one last match and I underestimated him because Austin's great. And you have to be great to beat me because I am the greatest ever step foot in the ring, which was great. He said, you know, while I tricked Austin into having his first match in 19 years, I also tricked myself. I was lifting heavy amounts of weight, training in the gym on, the day before, and I hurt myself. I had a bad back. You can see me limping down to the ring, but my face didn't show it because I'm so tough. It was just great. He was coming out with every single excuse. He said that, the win should be stricken from the books. Like, what books? There's no books.
No books.
There's no books. And then all of a sudden, this generic music hits like you would find on WWE 2K22. And the name Ezekiel appears on the Titantron. And I thought it was like LA Knight shaved his beard coming down, but it was Elias, who we haven't seen in quite some time. He is, I don't know what the hell they're doing here.
I did not believe it. You're like, it's Elias. I'm like, no, it's not. I go, what are you talking about? And then obviously when I heard him speak, I'm like, oh my God, it really is him. Okay, but I have a question though. This is going to sound really dumb.
Oh, I also have a question too. Yeah.
So, and please forgive me, everybody. Are they really going to try to portray it as this is actually Elias's younger brother?
Okay, so
that's what
yes,
I'm confused about. Or is it actually like
if you remember, Elias got beat by. Number one, he got driven out by Jackson Riker, who's not even on the roster anymore.
Yes.
So, he did that whole thing where, it was Elias and, even though Elias was this giant jacked man, he was 4 years old when he died. It's a 2017 to 2021 on his tombstone, which, okay, I guess. No, I don't think so. So he's been dead for quite some time. And I think that they're going to play it as like, maybe he had some kind of like, mental trauma where his old guy is dead and he's now this younger brother of Elias. I mean, even on Twitter, he changed the Twitter handle. I got to show you this. It was actually really, really funny.
I mean, I literally, I didn't even have words because I'm still speechless. I was like, you couldn't convince me for the first like
when
5 minutes.
When Kevin Owens is really playing into it, he's like, no. Like he's Ezekiel, Elias's younger bro. I am Elias WWE. And he says, hey guys, since Elias is gone, I'm taking over his Twitter. I'm his younger brother, Ezekiel.
Oh my God.
I mean,
it doesn't even look like him.
Comes out in the most generic tights, no beard, shorter hair. It's like just the most asinine thing. But Kevin Owens was amazing playing into this. He's like, no, you're Elias. This is stupid. Get out of my ring. I never liked you anyway. I was actually laughing.
No, it was funny. It was actually funny.
Actually, I'm Ezekiel. I'm Elias' younger brother. I was like, oh, this is so stupid and so.
Oh, it's dumb, but it was funny because Kevin Owens made it funny, and so did Ezekiel. So did Ezekiel. But it was just kind of alarming and concerning at first, though. I didn't know what was going on.
I do think that Kevin Owens is struggling with like an undisclosed injury, and even though he took some major league bumps at WrestleMania, he's definitely been at the house shows. He didn't perform as regard. He did an interview segment.
Right. No, you're right.
He's at the house shows. He has not been working. So I think a nice, easy comedy feud with Ezekiel. It
just could do the trick for now.
Now the question is, did Ezekiel get any better as a professional wrestler while he was gone? I don't think so. So these are not going to be banner matches.
I mean, he looks like a vintage professional wrestler, so maybe he
looks like a default created wrestler on 2K22, but it's something. It's
definitely is something.
Look. Elias hasn't been on television for almost 6 months because they had no ideas for him. So he's been ready to come back for a while. This is an idea. So, I mean, is it a great idea? Time will tell.
Shall see.
But I laughed.
I
laughed at this.
I laughed.
So if that was the goal, job well done. If that was not the goal, very bad.
Another question for you. Are we ever gonna get music again? That's the only part that I'm actually upset about. If we don't ever get music again,
I wonder if they'll like present him the guitar and he's like holding the
like
guitar,
he's like having
and
this
then
like
eventually like
mental
his
breakthrough.
eyes roll in the back of his head, and then he strums that guitar chord.
Yeah. It's like,
He's like, whoa, hello.
wait, I actually am Elias.
Yeah. So we'll see. Corey Howell actually bringing back the classic here, just like Santino and Santina, or Braun and Brain Strowman. I guess so.
And then everyone was saying too, which I'm not familiar
Joseph
with.
Parks and Abyss. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Abyss works for WWE anyway now, so they got that going for them. It could be. Anyway, stupid, kind of fun. The Mysterios. Dominic Mysterio squashed by the Miz in like less than a minute.
Wow.
I think the match went less. Yeah, I just found the time. 31 seconds. The Miz just killed Dominic Mysterio. Oh my God, Dominic Mysterio and Ray for that matter too. It's like they're so dead. After the 31-second victory for the Miz, they send Veer Mahan, who finally has arrived.
He's finally here.
Finally, after like 5 months of vignettes. 5 months.
Speculation. Everyone's like, when does he do it?
Almost 6 months. Almost 6 months since the WWE draft. You're
right, Zach. We are finally getting our respect.
And he kills the Mysterios and applies a modified camel clutch to Dominic, and Dominic taps out like a drum man. Next week, Veer will face Rey Mysterio in his debut Raw match. You know, we've seen him wrestle on Raw before. I gotta tell you, if I'm Rey Mysterio, I'd be searching for a higher ground, and getting out, because it's like, Dominic came back. I'm sorry, Cody Rhodes came back and negotiated this great deal for himself, and made them see something in him that they didn't see 6 years ago. Rey Mysterio, who really has nothing to prove to anybody, they are treating him like he is like this decrepit, washed up loser, and he performs better than like 95% of the roster.
He has way better stamina than, like you said, 90% of those individuals.
His IQ, his acumen is off the charts. Dominic showed something at WrestleMania Saturday. I can't say that he didn't. He's a vacuum of personality, but Gable Steveson, who they're going to push to the moon, has even less personality. I mean, like, how do you show no personality toasting the Street Profits?
I don't know. Listen,
like a piece of wood. We'll wait to see what happens when he becomes a professional wrestler, but I didn't really see anything where it's like, wow, this guy's exciting. And
you
see him.
called it tonight, though.
Personality.
You called it tonight, though, because Zach was just saying before that he was terrified that Veer was going to come out and like squash the Miz, and it's like, no, you said you're like, no, he's coming out to attack Mysterio, and I was like,
oh yeah. Now the Miz is too smart for that. Well, and also
like,
Miz is going to go against Logan Paul.
So he's got to look, whatever.
It's probably going to be a SummerSlam match if I had to guess, or probably Money in the Bank actually, because they have to sell at Allegiant Stadium. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens there. Yeah. No,
but man, talk about low hanging fruit. I actually thought like when Veer was going to debut tonight, I was like, oh, like maybe we'll do it like Akira Tozawa or something like that, or R-Truth, and just have him get a squash match real quick. I was trying to think of like who are the jobbers.
I didn't think it was going to be this though.
But I mean, yeah, actually the Mysterios are actually lower than Akira Tozawa and R-Truth. At least they all have a storyline. The Mysterios have like nothing.
They have nothing.
Really, it's low hanging fruit.
They
are dead in the water. They are dead in the water, and Veer is just going to go out there and kill them off for good.
Did Ray like piss somebody off, or is it literally just an age thing?
I think it's an age thing, and they just think he's washed up, or because they have not treated him well at all. Like, even like when you play 2K22, they put Mysterio on there because he's like the one recognizable face that people would remember from years ago, to make them buy the game. That's the only reason he's put on there, not because he's been doing so great. They keep him around solely for name value. It's the same reason they kept Jeff Hardy around for so long. They weren't doing anything with Jeff Hardy,
but it's just a name.
But he was a name. But Jeff Hardy still had a lot to give. Rey Mysterio still has a lot to give.
Yeah, no, it's the same
Dominic
thing.
Mysterio, with some seasoning, might be great.
Well, they should
put a mask on that kid. Put a mask on him. But God, like this is just ridiculous at this point.
And his daughters also.
So like when you play showcase mode on 2K22 and they go through all these great moments from Rey Mysterio's career, like the Halloween Havoc match against Eddie Guerrero in WCW, the Eddie Guerrero match at WrestleMania 21, the Shawn Michaels match against Undertaker, against Kane, against Batista, all these big guys.
Right.
And they show all this whole great career that he had. And then it's like, oh, well, we have to squeeze some stuff in from the current day. And it's like, oh yeah, that one match that he had against Grand Metalik that we were actually at Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
I didn't even remember. I was like, oh, Mysterio faced Grand Metalik. And I was like, oh, when did that happen? So I typed it in. I was like, I was there. I saw it in person. I don't remember. And Samoa Joe, it's like he's done nothing since coming back in 2018. 4 years. He won the tag team titles with the Sun. I guess that's enough to make it feel like it's worth it, but not to me. Ray and Dominic, if they
what a shame.
They either got to do something with them or just let them go.
Yeah,
it's an embarrassment to Rey Mysterio's legacy to be sticking around and getting destroyed like this. We'll see what happens. We'll see. But Veer will face Rey Mysterio next week in his debut match and kill him dead for sure. We got Bianca Belair in the ring, the new Raw Women's Champion. No Becky Lynch tonight. She talks about how she didn't cheat or injure her opponent to get her title back. She went through hell and back all the way from SummerSlam to WrestleMania Saturday. Becky Lynch came for her throat, her hair, and her eye. But even with one eye, she caught everything Lynch threw at her. She's different. She's better. She's taken on all challengers, and she is going to be the EST of WWE. I thought it was a decent promo.
That bruised eye,
bruised eye was
wow,
pretty nasty. I'm gonna show you it right now if I can find where StreamYard is. How about that?
I mean, she rocked it though. She looked badass for sure.
Oh yeah, where did it go? There it is. It was. Oof. I didn't even see like when it happened at the event either. I didn't see her get lit up or anything like that. And
I really like her.
She played it off really well at WrestleMania. I mean, this is somebody who hasn't been wrestling for forever. She shows so much poise in the ring.
My,
just like Logan Paul, I gotta say. Logan Paul showed a lot of poise.
Don't mention him, please. Please don't mention him. Please don't. No, she's a class act. Like she really is just incredible.
Brett makes a good point here too. That the bruised eye made up for a mess scripted promo. I thought the promo was okay, and but again, you're right. Like there were certain moments in that where she was trying to remember a line rather than speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
And I think this is a woman who drips with personality and everything.
Right. She doesn't need to be.
If she can't cut a promo, after a big victory at WrestleMania and just speak from the heart, something's amiss here. Something's amiss. And Becky Lynch, I think, scripts a lot of her own promos or sometimes just goes out there and does her own thing. They need to let Bianca do that. Otherwise, it'll always be Sasha and Charlotte and Becky and every now and then Bayley that are the ones that dominate
the division
moving forward. And people like Bianca Belair, who have great potential, won't ever truly catch on at that level. So that's my thought on that. But not the worst I've heard.
No, certainly not.
She's great. She's really great. Who do you think she's going to face first? By the way, no Asuka return. I was really expecting Asuka to come back here. I was expecting either Asuka or Alexa Bliss to come back in this segment and challenge her. No big returns like that.
No. What do you think's going on though?
They didn't do any. Honestly, this is a weird Raw after WrestleMania because we usually get the big returns and stuff like that. The only person who came back, and you can't even say that MVP came back because he hasn't been gone for that long, and he only left because Bobby Lashley wasn't on TV.
Right.
The only person who made a comeback is Elias. That's it. No big debuts.
And it's not even Elias. It's Ezekiel.
It's Ezekiel. Yeah. So actually a brand new wrestler debut tonight. Ezekiel. That's it.
And Veer.
So who do you think Belair faces first?
I would like to see her match up with Asuka, but I don't know how realistic it is at this point. If she hasn't come back yet, but I would like to see that matchup for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be anybody other than that necessarily, because
if they're gonna do Asuka, they should have set it up tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Veer too. Veer came back tonight too. But
Yeah.
he he's been on the show before.
Yeah.
And he never, they only took him off to do video packages.
God, but I think I would like for it to be Asuka personally.
I think it'll be at some point. I hope they bring Asuka back for God's sake.
But I don't know who the first person will be. I don't know.
I think it could either be like Dewdrop,
maybe
Dewdrop, or maybe even Rhea Ripley if she,
maybe Rhea Ripley.
Morgan.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but that's actually not what you want to do. Have Rhea Ripley turn heel and start getting a push and lose, a title match in her first big match. That would not be good.
No.
So, I think Dewdrop, they love having Bianca Belair hit that KOD on her because, even though we've seen it like 3 times now, it does get people talking. And they do have good matches together. So
I get behind that.
And what a shame that Dewdrop, of all the freaking people that were left off of WrestleMania, Dewdrop was left off of WrestleMania.
Yeah, no, that was
Dewdrop
like
worked her ass off. This, it really became something. And they couldn't find one more, random woman like Dana Brooke, maybe.
It's true.
Like put her with Dana Brooke and make it a 5-way tag. I don't know, whatever. But whatever. That was a oversight on their part. Speaking of oversights, we had an NXT Championship match tonight, which was a rematch from Saturday's NXT Stand and Deliver, with Dolph Ziggler defending against Braun Breaker. Totally unadvertised. Just happens in the middle of the show. They were just like, oh, by the way, NXT Championship match is next.
So bizarre. That was weird.
Why couldn't they advertise it?
I don't know. Do you think it was one of those situations where they themselves were just like, oh, randomly, like 20 minutes before, like, hey, you two are going to have a match tonight?
Well, it's like if you want Braun Breaker, like, and I totally get, I think it was a really, really smart decision to put that on Raw rather than having it on NXT Stand and Deliver. Because honestly, nobody really watches NXT. Nobody really truly cares about it. The ratings for it aren't great. So, of all, the show happened at 1:00 in the afternoon on WrestleMania Saturday.
Yeah.
How many people do you think actually tuned into Peacock to watch
it's true.
Stand and Deliver?
It's true. Putting it tonight was
even when I was recapping it, it just didn't get like any type of I didn't feel like there was any buzz. I like it was the number one trend, but it's like, what is trending at 2:00 in the afternoon on Saturday?
Right, exactly. For like, but to whose standards?
So however many people were watching it on Saturday, it pales in comparison to the number of people that saw it tonight. My only lament is that it just wasn't advertised. If they want to push, Braun Breaker as like this next big guy coming up and this beast that you got to see, friggin' advertise it and let him have a moment, that people tune in for. The crowd was kind of dead for this. They didn't really seem like they were NXT fans.
Well, because they didn't even know what to make of it. I think it was just, really was kind of one of those things you're like, oh, okay, this is happening?
Like, oh, is this like a throwaway title match?
Yeah.
I don't care.
No.
But it actually wound up with Braun Breaker winning. And
yes.
This was actually, I thought this match was better than the one on Saturday. I thought that Braun looked very green in that match. They really that spot tonight where Ziggler was going for the leapfrog and he snapped him down and slammed him. They had to repeat that spot on Saturday because the first time he almost dropped Dolph Ziggler on his head. He just lost his balance and fell. A couple times that happened to him. But this was good because they had Braun Breaker get tricked on Saturday, and then on Monday Dolph tried to do the exact same thing. And this time, Braun Breaker had it scouted, and now they were able to say like, oh, he's learning so much and his ring IQ. So it was a good moment, really, really good moment for him. But it's like just so weird that they don't advertise like something like that.
No, it was very, very. I don't want to say out of place, but it was just very random because it was like, oh, okay, oh, all right. Oh, this is happening. And I don't even think people knew how to process it at first because I know I didn't. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Yeah. All right, NXT match. All right.
And I think it's a good idea to keep the title on him. Keep him in NXT. Let him get more seasoning because he did look very green on Saturday. I think he'll have some good days and he's gonna have some bad days. That's what happens when you're a rookie. Learning the craft.
And that's okay. Learn
he
it.
Comes from a great wrestling pedigree in the Steiners, but. But as NXT champion, they can also do a thing where, maybe once a week or once every other week, he's on Raw having a match. And then he goes to 2.0, NXT 2.0 and dominates.
Well, here's the thing about being part of a legacy. I think the people automatically assume that you're just. I mean, think about it. They did it with Mysterio. They did it with Dominic. They thought, oh, okay, he's Ray's son, so clearly he's got whatever. And yeah, granted, even somebody like Charlotte Flair, clearly she's incredible. And I'm not saying these individuals are not incredible, but they also still need to be taught the ropes. Just because you were brought up into this business does not mean you automatically know what you're doing, and we can just put you on television and here, go for it. Be so and so, be like your family, but it doesn't work that way. You still need to learn.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think he needs to just develop more.
Yeah. And just
use him sparingly on
right, because I see a lot of potential in this guy, Braun Breaker. He's got a great look. He comes
from
for
sure.
He has a great wrestling background. He is a legitimate beast. He's young. He's super young. Like Brock Lesnar, by the time he got up, he was also an NCAA champion.
Brock Lesnar right.
was a freakish once in a generation talent, but he also had put the time in OVW, and they were training them to work. I go back to what Randy Orton was saying, that these guys are not being trained properly at the Performance Center.
They're not.
And, like Brock Lesnar, even though, he came up at the same time, at the same age that Braun Breaker did, different kind of training with old school trainers.
Right.
Turned him into a great professional wrestler.
Yes.
And a guy who was ready for the spot, maybe not totally ready, but ready enough.
Yes.
Braun's not there yet. Most of the people in NXT aren't.
No, they're not.
And I think that's why we're having trouble getting these call-ups over.
I think that too, people don't give it enough time. I think that they almost, they're like, oh yeah, they seem like they're ready, but it's not consistent. So if they have a couple of, good matches and they're like, oh yeah, you know what, they're probably ready, let's just bring them up. It's like, no, you have to maintain a certain level of consistency for a certain amount of time in order for you to be like, oh, okay, you know what, you can go up. And I'm not saying like drag it out, but
right,
it's always better to take the caution of keep them there. And then
they never do. That's why Randy Torcola said that, he's scared that Vince is going to pull the trigger at this point. With literally nobody waiting in the wings to be the next big guy, after Roman Reigns, they have no choice but to start learning from their sordid history of getting people over in the last 10 years. Daniel's asking if he's related to the Steiners. He is Rick Steiner's son. Braun Breaker is Rick Steiner's son. Scott Steiner is his uncle. So we'll see what happens with this. We shall see. But I thought it was a good moment for him. We had MVP in the ring, and he says he introduces Bobby Lashley, the man who single-handedly, without an ounce of help, defeated a Goliath that has terrorized Raw for the past year. The man didn't even need my help. His name is Bobby Lashley. As soon as MVP said that, I was like, he's turning on him. I was like waiting for it. Bobby Lashley kind of fumbled through a scripted promo as usual. He's not good at cutting scripted promos. He's really not good at cutting any promos, but scripted promos really confound him.
Yeah, they really yeah.
Omos comes out and he wants a rematch because last night was a fluke. MVP attacks Lashley from behind. Omos beats Lashley down. MVP punches away at Lashley and hits a drive-by kick on him, and then Omos hits a tree slam. So it's Omos and MVP as a tandem.
Yep.
MVP is managing Omos, and that needed to happen because Omos's promos were pathetic,
and that needed to happen like months ago.
But the only problem is that yes, you can put MVP with him, and it's like yes, like there's so many people that can't cut promos that they need managers, like Damian Priest. Like Edge could be really good for him because he's also very bad at cutting promos. But they're like there's some people that really need somebody to cut promos from, like Ronda Rousey, that they don't give, but they give Omos, who has maybe his promos were weak, but that's not the only weak part of his game.
Yeah,
like everything on Omos is weak.
Right.
There's nothing strong about this guy except for his height.
Well, what they need to do is they need to focus on one thing, and honestly, really the core of it should be the wrestling and not so much of having a manager, because you could deal with not having a manager for a little bit, not talking, and working on your in-ring skills. They do need to prioritize that a little bit better for sure.
Yeah. But the other sad thing is that this means that, it's probably gonna be Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns as Reigns' first title match. I thought with Omos going down at WrestleMania last night, they building Lashley up, but nope, we're gonna get more Lashley versus Omos, and that's bad. Uncle Billy also said he texted me and said that maybe this was done to get, maybe they want Lashley to have a WrestleMania moment and beat Omos, and then get beat down the next night. He goes away, has shoulder surgery, and comes back ready to go for Omos. So hopefully, but that means that we have to have Omos stay strong for like 4 months.
That's gonna be hard.
There's really no upside to this at all. There's really
I
no
don't see an upside.
I'd rather MVP just go back and manage Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin and try to undo all the awful booking,
or even oh my god, I'm forgetting the name. The Olympian.
Chad Gable.
Yeah.
Oh, Gable Steveson.
Gable Steveson. Yeah.
Brett Farmer saying Omos doesn't need to be polished. He can be a big brooding brawler, especially if MVP is a mouthpiece. Watching him work last night was atrocious. I don't even think he could brawl properly. I don't think he throws, like, there's just nothing that he does well. Nothing. And he almost killed Bobby Lashley last night. Let's not forget. Because he
did almost kill Bobby Lashley.
That's how they train wrestlers now. And then they reward them.
Yeah.
Like Ridge Holland.
Yeah, well, don't even get me started.
Anyway. Queen Zelina and Carmella, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Queen Zelina and Carmella are now feuding or whatever, and Corey Graves and Carmella are making out. That was
okay. I'm gonna say this just real quick, and then I won't speak about it any further. This was cringe beyond cringe, and I'm really tired of. I'm all about like. Listen, if you're a couple, fine. Like, good for you. Like, you found love.
You're like the least interesting couple in WWE.
But exactly, and that's where I have the issue. It's like, okay, you look at somebody like Miz and Maurice, and you're like, they have chemistry out the wazoo. They are just a great couple. You could see that whatever. It's like they're not likable. Do you know what I mean? Like, fine, you're happy together, great. We don't need to see your relationship or whatever. Like, I don't care. The whole thing is just like, ooh, they're just pushing it between their YouTube channel and this crap. I'm over it. Done.
Yeah.
Annoying. Sorry.
I fear we're gonna get a lot more of this.
Oh, we definitely are.
They think this is entertainment, but it really isn't.
They really think they're like, oh, we're the hot couple. Like, no, you're not.
Make people turn off television.
Oh, for sure.
That's like, okay.
Oh, for sure.
I think I've seen enough wrestling for tonight. Because it was at that point I was like, well, that sucks.
They gone off the rails. Like, that was just going off the rails.
Like this is just, whatever you think we need to see it. That's not it.
Nope.
Luckily, they brought it back with a good 6-man tag match. RK Bro and Finn Balor facing Austin Theory and the Usos. Austin Theory and the Usos go over. It was a good match, fast paced. Austin Theory needed to get some heat back, so of course they fed Finn Balor to him because who cares about the United States title? Right. So that happened. What did you think of it?
I thought it was actually I thought it was good, and there are certain times where I look at these tag matches and I'm like, oh, like I kind of like sigh a little bit. I can appreciate a good tag match especially with individuals who definitely can perform. Last night when we were talking about the matches and again, like my favorite parts, I actually liked the opening match. So, I thought this was good.
Yeah,
I thought it was good.
They didn't have a lot of wrestling on the show tonight, but most of the stuff they had was pretty decent to very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was very good.
Yeah.
I thought the women's match with Banks and Naomi and Ripley and Morgan was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good too.
And then we had a Texas Tornado tag match with Alpha Academy versus the Street Profits.
Oh man, I can't.
All action.
Oh my god,
just love it.
Just so good. Just so good.
And it's like that was like the last bit of fan servicing that they were gonna do. Like with the I was wondering if we were gonna get a Texas Tornado match at some point tonight, And here it was.
Yeah.
And the crowd wanted tables. They gave him tables. The table
was great.
spot was the finish.
It was great.
So they did everything right in that match. The Street Profits went over Alpha Academy.
And you know what, too? It was good that it was back to back. Normally, I would say like place it differently, but the way the kind of show was progressing and would have to hold the debacle with, that cringe.
Well, in between the 6-man and the tornado was the Edge thing. And the crowd crapped all over it. They were, they were being stupid too. Like, he's like, you all are sheep. And then they're like, we are sheep. We are sheep. He's like, yeah, I know. I just said that, you idiots. Like, that's what sheep do. They just, they mimic whatever the master wants.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. I don't know. I want to like the Edge thing. I want to like that he's doing a new character. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it yet. I'm really not feeling it yet. They got the whole scripted thing with the mountains of omnipotence and the judgment and the guilty. It's like, okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. It's just too much. And Damian Priest is like out there.
I can't with him.
Ooh, let me think of all the bad guys that I liked as a kid. Oh, I'm going to act like that. But he's acting and not being. He's not living it. So it was not a good debut.
No.
The crowd did not take it seriously whatsoever.
And honestly, why should they?
You could see that Edge and Damian Priest were kind of frustrated by that too.
But they also But
it's like, what do you expect? You go out there with that crummy material and deliver it as like, oh, look at us, where are the bad guys? And you expect people in 2022 to not crap on it. I'm more shocked that they thought it was going to go over.
Yeah, I agree. Well, especially for Edge, like, Damian Priest can be naive, but Edge, really, you thought that. And honestly, I hate to say it, but people look at Damian Priest, like, regardless of who you put him with. Think about even last year. We said this before. He put him with Bad Bunny. They couldn't even get him over with the celebrity, one of the biggest stars in the world, and they couldn't even get him over with him last year.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on.
He was like the biggest afterthought coming out of that thing.
I was like, really?
The show ends with Roman Reigns, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, coming out to celebrate his victory. They didn't really do much. It was just kind of like, a Roman Reigns greatest hits track.
Yeah, like acknowledge me.
Bloodline. He said he's going to shake it up tonight, and Paul Heyman ran down all the accolades. About the Usos being the longest reigning tag team champions in the history of SmackDown. The largest box office receipts in the history of SummerSlam and Survivor Series were done with Roman Reigns headlining. First $1 billion gross in sports entertainment history was made with Roman Reigns as champion for 365 days of the year. Largest crowds, Peacock up, commerce creator. That's what Roman Reigns does. He's undisputed Roman Reigns. So after that, Reigns put himself over a little bit, said that he's constantly operating in God mode. He's the last needle mover. And, a lot of guys would hang their hat on what happened at WrestleMania last night, but not me. I'm progressive. I want to keep moving forward. So this Friday on SmackDown, I'll tell everyone what the next step is. Until then, Dallas, Texas, acknowledge me. I thought it was a really strong cliffhanger.
It definitely was
effective. It wasn't long. It wasn't drawn out.
No, but it did its job. It definitely did.
But you put the champion on last and hope that people stick around to see it. I think there's a good chance that people did stick around to see it.
I'm sure.
To see what he would say, especially because I know a lot of people thought that The Rock was going to come out. I didn't think that was going to
honestly, if he didn't come out last night, I wasn't expecting him to come out tonight.
Yeah. If anything, he'll come out on SmackDown, which I think would be very disappointing. I have a feeling that the next step is going to be Dwayne Johnson. And I'm like, we talked about it last night on Wrestleview Live 100, but as much as I love The Rock, Adam said like that, it felt like, 10 years ago at WrestleMania 28 against John Cena, that was like a big deal.
Yeah.
But by the time it got to WrestleMania 29, it was Rock and Cena again. It was like, okay, we're ready to be done with The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good on seeing The Rock. It looks like, but for whatever reason, they think this is the match to go with. But that doesn't.
Simply because of the relationship. That's why.
Is it doesn't build for the future. And what? Do you have Roman Reigns beat The Rock at WrestleMania? And then what?
I could
But
see.
that means another year of Reigns on top.
Yes.
Number one, I think they need to break up the title though. I think if they're going to
Right.
do it, they have to get the title off him for at least a little while, just to breathe some, interest into SmackDown, because it's feeling so repetitive, like Roy was saying.
Here's the thing. I could see if we were in a position where we had more established individuals in the main event, then obviously it would only be a one-time thing. If The Rock and Reigns were to face each other, I could see that. Then fine. Like, you know what? Have that special WrestleMania moment. Even though The Rock, like we saw him a few years ago with John Cena, and it wasn't ever necessarily a favorite match in the entire world, but still Dwayne The Rock Johnson, right? He's still going to get that buzz. He's still going to get that. People are going to want to watch it just simply because of who he is and their family and everything else.
Yeah.
But if we had a situation where people were a little bit more developed and you had other main eventers and everything else, and like you could see that one, but like you said, where's the long term though? We kind of have to prioritize a little bit, but then again, they're probably thinking to themselves, well, The Rock's getting older, and depending on his movie schedule, like they probably have to cap. And it's Hollywood next year, so that's why I think they are genuinely going to go. They're just not going to present it right away, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
I mean, that's the big rumor. That's the one that Meltzer keeps pushing. That's going to be Rock and Roman, but I don't see it. Roman Reigns. The Rock tore his hamstring at WrestleMania 28.
Yeah.
He tore his abdominal muscles at 29, and had to delay the filming. I think it was like of Hercules or something like that for a month. Which obviously, with multi-million-dollar movie projects, having to delay it for a month, and like that's an insurance nightmare.
It's risky. Yeah, it's very risky.
It's just not worth it for Dwayne Johnson to do it. I mean, there's nothing in it for him. Nothing.
Is that one of the reasons?
Maybe they bring John Cena back for another go.
I was gonna say. But
again, that's not building for the future.
No,
either.
It's just relying on individuals.
Got a lot of
he's got a lot of movie deals too. So yeah, he's definitely one now where he would be risking his body at that point. But I don't know. The only thing I will say is this. Selfishly, I did want The Rock to come back last night because I did want, just because Stone Cold was there and Vince McMahon.
I just wanted one more giant.
I just wanted them to just look at each other. They didn't have to necessarily do anything. I just wanted them just to look at each other last night. So that was the one.
But that would also overshadow the victory.
No, I know, I get it, but I was like, that would have been overload. I get it, but I was like, oh, okay, that would have been cool.
So this was a Raw after WrestleMania show that was largely had no surprises whatsoever, like no returns other than Elias/Ezekiel, and Veer, making his debut that we all knew was coming, but like no real surprises.
No,
but we had a lot of storyline, direction emerging. MVP turning on Bobby Lashley. Lashley's a face. MVP's aligned with Omos. Bianca Belair is going to be a fighting champion. Edge and Damian Priest, possibly Rhea Ripley. They're going to be breaking that thing up soon. Cody Rhodes and that great story of, it's going to be like the flair for the gold, him going, making it his life's goal to win the world title. I'm excited to see what happens in the coming weeks and months with Raw. I think Raw is in good shape despite some of the trepidations that I have. I'm very concerned about the title scene, and I'm also very concerned right now about the long-term future of the company. Like let's say Roman Reigns get injured. Who do you put the title on?
Yeah.
It's like who would be
they're not thinking. They're not thinking. Just like they weren't thinking years ago when Cena was dominating. Like they're just
right. And they had, and by the time Cena left, they had nobody in the wings.
Nobody.
Roman Reigns was not getting over at the time, and they were dead set on getting him over as like the next John Cena superface, and it didn't happen.
No.
And they
pushing Daniel Bryan to the side.
Daniel Bryan had to retire. Yeah. And it was just like a couple years where there was like no true top guy that people were tuning in to watch.
Nope. They really missed the mark on that one. They're kind of falling into the same.
When John Cena left, they were caught with their pants down. They really, really were.
And I hate to say it, they might be going down that same path again.
They are down that same path.
With
Because
Cody,
they built Roman up so much that who can beat him and it be satisfying enough and convincing enough?
Yeah.
Cody, I guess.
Yeah, but that's going to take some time, though,
It's gonna take some time
to develop. You have to get other people.
And
Cody wasn't necessarily in the long-term plan, obviously, because it just happened just a few months ago.
Yeah. So, but he might have fallen into their lap at the right time. But as much as they like Cody Rhodes and are treating him very, very nicely right now, I don't think that they're going to put him over Roman Reigns.
No, probably not.
I don't think so.
Probably not.
So I don't know.
I don't know either.
We'll see what happens. But I still thought it was an effective show. Is it the greatest Raw after WrestleMania that I've ever seen? No, not at all. If this was a regular Raw show, I would say this was great. I liked it. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of direction, but if you tuned into this show expecting surprises and maybe some NXT call-ups or some people returning from injury, this was not. Then you would leave this show feeling very disappointed. You really, really would.
So I thought it was an underwhelming show, just overall. Just the vibe of it.
Yeah, the vibe was down.
I definitely expected more. However,
and give us your thumbs up or thumbs down in the chat room, by the way, please.
However, I will still give it a thumbs up, simply because of a few things. Cody Rhodes' promo.
Yes,
that was
yes.
that was so
that
was the best part. It was very heartfelt,
show.
And I did enjoy the Texas Tornado match, and the wrestling that did happen on the show I thought was good. So that's why I can give it a thumbs up. But in terms of it being like a good post WrestleMania Raw, no, I don't think it was good. But there are certain elements that just made it good because it was good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this is a toughie for me. It's a toughie. Because I like the direction of a lot of these stories. I'm not exactly amped up about Omos and Bobby Lashley, going on perpetually for a while. I wanted to see some people return. I wanted to have some surprises. I wanted to have something that got me off the couch and excited and just, kind of give because for a long time, Raw after WrestleMania was like the conclusion to the entire WrestleMania weekend. It was like, WrestleMania, just bleeding over a little while longer. And I just didn't get it. I didn't get a big show feel from this. I didn't get, the crowd was certainly quiet. But I just wanted like a satisfying conclusion. I think they're trying to stretch it into Friday, for SmackDown, but Friday's.
But they still should have gave it a little bit more.
Friday's just so far away.
Yeah,
that's the problem. It's just too far away. Like if they were doing SmackDown on Tuesday, still it'd be like, okay, well, one more day. Try to pull it together. They left this good cliffhanger, and it'll pay off tomorrow. But by the time Friday rolls around, it's just gonna be another show to me. It's like the WrestleMania vibe will have worn off from a week of work. And, I'm sure SmackDown will still be good, but it just won't be, it won't have the WrestleMania crowds there, because they'll be in a different location, and it won't have that WrestleMania feel, even though it's the SmackDown after WrestleMania. But, so it kind of a missed opportunity, and so it was kind of lame if you're looking for it for those reasons. So it's like tough because I liked so much about it, but the vibe was missing. The vibe was really missing. So it's so tough. It's like because the Cody,
just pick one.
The Cody promo,
that's what gave me the thumbs up. That's what solidified my decision.
It's like the lowest thumbs up I could possibly give without it being.
Oh, I don't give it a strong thumbs up. I just give it a thumbs up.
Like that. That's it.
I'm like
any more, I'd be down. But I just got it over. Just tilted it enough to make it like that. So very, very minimal thumbs up, only because of Cody Rhodes' unscripted promo and the beautiful story that he told and the emotion of it. And I believed it. It was a great way to kick off the show. So We got that. Quentin Walters says, actually, Raw's a thumbs down. It wasn't normal Raw after WrestleMania crowd. Indeed. Daniel says, thumbs. After the Cody segment, I watched the national title game. The crowd was spent and not there, down. So he gives it a thumbs down. Thumbs up, not great, but okay. Cody probably saved it at the start of the show. Thumbs up of this show. Thumbs up, of course. Thank you, Andrew. The post-show, thumbs up from Quentin Walters. Graham Costigan Cripps gives a thumbs down. Zach Faulkner says it was a thumbs down. If it was any other Raw, thumbs up. But for a post-Mania, it was disappointing. I have to agree. Randy Torcola, thumbs in the middle, tilting upward very slightly. So it's a thumbs up from Randy. Thumbs up for Cody. Thumbs down for everything else from Brett Farmer. This is supposed to be the start to a new season. We got rematches and rehashes. Good point. Good point on some of that stuff. But don't forget, we're also going to WrestleMania Backlash. So that's like a continuation of some of the feuds from WrestleMania. So maybe we'll get a full reset in May. Up a bit from Billy Hafner. Machine Walls up for Cody return to MVP heel turn. Okay. All right. It's very divided. On Twitter, let's see what they're saying about it here. We have 64% thumbs up.
I would say because that's Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I would think so too. But actually, one of the comments right here from Big Rob, for being the Raw after WrestleMania, it left me wanting more. This is supposed to kick off new stories, but we got promos from Roman, Owens, and Bianca. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, it's a tricky one now. It's a tricky. It didn't have that feel, and after 3 years, I was kind of hoping it would. On that note, everybody, this will conclude our WrestleMania coverage. I'm ready to stop talking about wrestling finally. But it's been so much fun sitting here and chatting with you all. We had some great guests over the weekend as well. Paul Nemmer was on for 2 shows on Saturday. And he was also on for the prediction show. Roy Nemmer was on for all the shows. Adam Martin joined us last night. And of course, my darling wife, Victoria, was there for the whole thing, as always has my back. Always shows up, and you showed up as well, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us and hanging out with us this whole weekend. We will be back next week. Actually, I should not jump the gun and say that I will definitely be back, because next week's Holy Week, and I don't know.
I don't think we will be, actually.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I don't even know if I'll be recapping Raw. I might go to the Chrism Mess instead, but
yeah,
we shall see. Tentatively, I'm scheduling to come back next week to do the post-Raw show. If not, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Until then, I am Mike Tedesco.
And I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Thank you all so much. Have a great night. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.